The message at 11:02 p.m. At 11:02 p.m., the message arrived. The house was quiet. The only sounds were the low hum of the refrigerator and the steady ticking of the wall clock. On the kitchen table, under the warm under-cabinet lights, lay 6 small zippered pouches, neatly lined up in a row. Each pouch was labeled in careful handwriting with a grandchild's name. Inside, travel-sized sunscreen wet wipes, gum for the plane, motion sickness bands, a little bag of gummy bears. Beside them sat colorful gift bags, each with a keychain that read, Aloha on one side, and Grandma loves you on the other. Eleanor Hart stood over the table with her reading glasses halfway down her nose, pressing the last zipper closed. Her back ached with a familiar, dull pain, but she felt satisfied. This was the kind of tired that came from doing something that mattered. For 3 years, she had been saving, planning, and imagining this trip. A week in Hawaii. Not just a destination, but a symbol. She and her late husband, Daniel, had gone there on their honeymoon when they were young and broke and sunburned and happy. She had always wanted to take the whole family back someday, her son Michael, his wife Sabrina, and the grandchildren who had never met their grandfather. She wanted them to feel the same sand Daniel had walked on. She wanted to see their faces when the ocean first came into view. She wanted one last big memory with everyone together, while she was still able to chase children along the shoreline and stay up past 10. Her phone buzzed on the table. She wiped her hands on a dish towel and picked it up, smiling a little. A message from Michael. She expected something like, "Mom, the kids are so excited," or, "We really appreciate everything you've done." Instead, she read, "You won't be joining us. Sabrina prefers to keep it only her family. You should understand your place. You've already done your part by paying." Eleanor blinked. She read the message again, slower this time. "You won't be joining us. Only her family. Understand your place. You've already done your part by paying." Her fingers loosened around the phone. She set it down, screen still lit, on the table. The refrigerator kept humming. The clock kept ticking. Nothing in the room reflected what had just shifted inside her. The phone buzzed again. Another message from Michael. "Don't take it the wrong way, Mom. It's not personal. It's just simpler this way. Not personal." The words felt almost absurd. She had planned the trip, booked the villa, bought the plane tickets, arranged airport transfers and excursions. She had saved money she didn't have easily. She had imagined this trip as a moment of closeness, of healing. And now she was being told it wasn't personal, that she was no longer invited. Eleanor turned the phone face down. She looked at the small duffel bag by the doorway, the one she had packed for herself. Inside were 2 sundresses she hadn't worn in years, a worn pair of sandals, a paperback novel, the framed photo of Daniel she had planned to set on the dinner table one night, and a lavender candle. In her mind, she had already seen the scene. The family sitting barefoot in the sand as the sun went down. Daniel's picture in the center. The grandchildren asking questions about the man in the photo. Stories shared, a candle lit, a moment of remembrance and connection. That image vanished in an instant, leaving behind only the quiet kitchen and the soft rustle of plastic bags against one another. Her first emotion wasn't anger, it was shame. Not because she had done anything wrong, she hadn't, but because she had believed so deeply in a version of her family that did not seem to exist. She picked up the phone again, opened the message thread, and stared at the empty reply box. What was there to say? That hurt, he knew. This isn't fair. He knew that too. Please let me come. The thought formed and dissolved. She couldn't type those words. Not when every payment had come from her account. Not when she was being treated like a service that had already been rendered. She locked the phone and put it down. He could call if he regretted it. He didn't call. Time passed. The kitchen grew darker as the clock moved past midnight. The labeled bags and tidy travel plans stayed where they were, mute reminders of a dream that had shifted into something else. Eleanor sat alone at the table, feeling less like a mother and more like a cancelled reservation. The signs had been there, in small, subtle moments. Holiday gatherings hosted at Sabrina's mother's house, mentioned to Eleanor only at the last minute. Photos taken at birthdays where the instructions sounded like, "Let's get one of just the kids. Now just our little family." By the time someone thought to say, "We should get one with Grandma," the kids were already running off. She had been handed paper plates at Thanksgiving and told, "There's not much room at the table, but you're fine there." She had shown up to Christmas in a plain blue sweater, only to find everyone else in matching red. "You don't really like those cheesy matching things anyway, Mom," Michael had said, brushing it off. It was easier to pretend it meant nothing. It was easier to tell herself she was overthinking. But the text removed all doubt. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was how they saw her. Useful, but not essential. Eventually, Eleanor stood up, her joints stiff from sitting so long. She walked down the hallway to the small room Daniel had used as a study. His desk was still there, worn in places where his elbows used to rest. She sat down and opened the old laptop. On the desktop was a folder labeled Hawaii Family Trip. She opened it. A spreadsheet filled the screen. At the top, travel fund balance, 21,763.84. The number represented 3 years of quiet sacrifice. She could see them as if they were entries in a ledger cancelled cable subscription, cheaper groceries, saying no to lunches with friends, tutoring high school students online at night, wearing last year's coat one more winter. Every saved bill had gone into a mason jar hidden behind the flour. From there, into this account. She clicked into the bank tab. Account name, Travel Fund, eHeart. Status, active. Linked payments, flights, villa, car rental, excursions, airport transfers. Her cursor hovered over a small button. Freeze account. One click, and all linked charges would be paused. Cards would fail. Bookings would collapse. The trip, as her family understood it, would stop. Eleanor watched the button, her breath slow and controlled. She didn't press it. Not yet. Instead, she opened a new document and started typing names. Not Michael, not Sabrina, not the grandchildren. Other names. Maggie. Son hasn't visited since her cancer diagnosis. Rose, widowed last year, still brings his photo to church. Joanna, helped raise her grandkids, wasn't invited to their graduations. Lydia, always cooking for others, has never traveled. Clara, cares for her brother with dementia, sleeps beside his bed. Evelyn, once said no one had ever taken a photo of her on a beach. She read through the list of names, then went back to the bank window. The freeze button waited. This time she clicked. A message appeared. Are you sure you want to pause all linked transactions? Yes. All linked cards will be disabled immediately. Do you wish to continue? Yes. The status changed. Travel fund, frozen. The house didn't feel different. But Eleanor did. For the first time in years, she let herself consider a possibility that didn't revolve around waiting to be chosen by the very people she had built her life around. She closed the laptop. A quiet thought settled in. Maybe she had already done enough. The next day, she moved slowly, but with more intention. She made coffee. She put the labeled pouches in a drawer. She folded the duffel bag closed and set it back on the bed. Then she picked up her phone and opened her messages. She wrote to Michael once. Let me know if you'd like help with the kids' bags or snacks before the trip. I can bring a few things over. The message delivered. A seen notification appeared beneath it. There was no response. Later that day, in the family group chat, Michael sent a photo of their suitcases lined up by the front door. Ready for takeoff, the caption read. Palm tree emojis, plain emojis, hearts from Sabrina's family. Eleanor did not reply. Something had shifted. She was no longer trying to prove that she deserved to be included. That afternoon, she took out her notebook and flipped to the page with the names she'd typed. At the top, she wrote, "Those who deserve to be seen." Then she started making calls. "Hi, Maggie. It's Eleanor." "Eleanor, hi. Is everything all right?" "Yes. I just wanted to ask you something unusual." She asked Maggie where she would go if she could travel anywhere for 1 week, all expenses paid. "Somewhere warm," Maggie said. "Somewhere I don't have to think about appointments." "What about Hawaii?" Eleanor asked. The silence on the other end was thick. "You're not serious," Maggie finally said. "I am," Eleanor replied. "I already have the place booked. I want you there." "Why me?" "Because someone should take you," Eleanor said simply. "And I can." She called Rose next, then Joanna, then Lydia, Clara, Evelyn. Every call followed the same pattern: disbelief, questions, tears. She didn't tell them the full story of what had happened with her son. She only gave them the part that mattered now. "I have room. I want you there. You deserve this." By the end of the day, the trip had changed shape completely. It was no longer a family vacation funded by a forgotten grandmother. It was something else. It was a doorway. And for the first time, Eleanor was the one deciding who got to walk through it. On the morning Michael and Sabrina were set to fly, Eleanor sat at her kitchen table with a cup of tea. At 8:17 a.m., her phone buzzed. "Hey, Mum, we're getting some weird error at check-in. The card's not going through. Can you check the travel fund?" She read it once, set the phone down. A few minutes later, another message. "They're saying the card has been declined a few times. Do you see anything wrong with the account?" Calls followed. "Mom, call me back. Mom, this isn't funny. Just tell me if something happened. We're standing here with the kids. This is a mess." Voicemail after voicemail. Eleanor listened to the first one, then turned the volume down. She sat in Daniel's old chair by the window and watched the day unfold outside. The neighbor backing out of their driveway, a dog trotting along the sidewalk, the mail truck turning the corner. The account stayed frozen. The trip, as they had planned it, did not happen. Later, an email pinged in her inbox from the villa. "Reservation cancelled. Full refund processed to original account." Her money drifted back where it came from, but this time it was no longer attached to the hope that buying things was the same as being valued. It was attached to something else now. Choice. And Eleanor had already made hers. Fade out.